everybody, and welcome to the Motherhood Mindset Makeover. My name is Kristen Anker. I'll be your host today and your parent and teacher empowerment specialist. So excited for you to be joining me today. Some of you live, some of you on the replay, but giving you some permission to celebrate Mother's Day for this whole month. Celebrate for the whole month. We deserve it. So I just want to share my screen. I'm going to be sharing a PowerPoint with you today, and then also be introducing you to the Women's Empowerment Circle that I have starting next week. So I'm so excited to share my screen. Let's see, share. And I'm sharing, and then we're going to go here. And oh, it's working. I've had lots of technical difficulties today, and now everything is working. Welcome, welcome to the Motherhood Mindset Makeover. We are going to be learning some mindset tools to up-level our mindset. We're going to learn some communication tools to build some connection, cooperation with our children, and then just focusing on some daily shifts and daily habits that we can do to increase our confidence, our courage, and our clarity so that we can be the best that we can be, the best version of ourselves. So welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Kristen Anker. Before I was mom to my 13-year-old daughter, my 10-year-old daughter, and my 7-year-old son, I was a Montessori educator. I worked in about 10 years in Montessori schools. I was a teacher, I was the director of a program, and I was an assistant head of school. So it was when I was the assistant head is when I started to really learn about discipline, because I would have those 3- and 4-year-old boys in my office, really just to, I think, give the teacher a little break. I had a lot of 13 and 14-year-old girls in my office. It was right when all the social media was coming out and some cyberbullying was happening. I had a lot of teachers in my office and a lot of parents. And I had such great ideas for these parents. But I wasn't even a mom yet. So it wasn't until after I was a mom and I was like, whoa, this is really hard. Like, I was challenged by everything. I have a very strong-willed 3-year-old at the time. I was pregnant with my second, and I was like, I thought I'd be better at this job. You know, I'm a Montessori teacher. I have my master's in education. What is going on? So it was then when I discovered positive discipline, or rediscovered positive discipline, and I delved deep and I read all the books and I did my positive discipline. I'm a certified positive discipline facilitator for educators and for parents. And then I kept going on with my life, you know, a few kids later, and about 4 years ago, I just wanted to delve deeper. Like, I knew that I needed to be working more on myself personally. And so I did an advanced training called encouragement consultant, where I became a trained encouragement consultant. So we can learn how to encourage ourselves so that we can be the role model for our kids. And then this past year with the pandemic, the silver lining was I became a certified mindset coach. So I knew in the thick of things, I was like, the only 2 things that I have control over right now are my thoughts and my actions. So I knew I needed to control that. So I've been, I got certified in September, and I'm so excited to be, you know, bringing in a lot of the mindset strategies within my positive discipline and encouragement consulting. So I'm really, really excited to be bringing this to you today. So that's a little bit about me. And now a little bit about you. So what are the challenges? What's going on right now? We had challenges before the pandemic, and just being a parent was challenging, right? And then we threw parenting in a pandemic in there. And then now with everything that's going on, there's so much chaos and uncertainty happening in our world. You know, how do we do it? How do we navigate through the messy, muddy waters of what our life is right now? And it's challenging. I'm not going to lie. I'm the first to admit, like, this is challenging. And there's tools and strategies that we can use to help us to feel better. And that's what I hope to do today. So one of the things that I work on with when I do some of my live workshops is we develop these 2 lists. And first we talk about all the challenges, and I have all the parents kind of yell out and brainstorm all the challenges that are going on. Yelling, hitting, sibling fighting, all the stuff, social media, fighting, lying, not listening, not listening. So, the list can go on and on. But what's really nice is when we do that as a group is we kind of are all like, okay, I'm not the only one. And that's the way I felt. Like when I was a young parent, I was like thinking I was the only one being challenged by my daughter. I was the only one who didn't have my shit together. I was the only one who couldn't get to something on time. And I really made myself feel worse than what I really was. But then when I started to work with parents, I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one who struggles with this. And then there's some strategies that I can use to do better. People do better when they feel better. And how can we work on that? What we then did is we created this list of all the challenges. And then I have my parents visualize, and just do that now. So kind of close your eyes and visualize your child. Like, let's think about your child at the age of 25, when they're fully grown, fully developed. Not fully developed and grown yet, but at the age of 25 is when the neuroscientists have discovered that prefrontal cortex is fully developed. So that's that executive functioning skills. That's like the CEO of our brain. It's working with our morale, our judgment, our morality, our executive functioning skills, our interpersonal relationships, our mindset, what we're saying to ourselves. So many different things are based in this prefrontal cortex. And what we know is it's just not fully developed until the age of 25. So we have some long range parenting goals that we need to work with. And we also need to think of that end goal as these are the life skills and characteristics that we hope and dream for our grown child. And they're going to make mistakes, and we're going to continue to make mistakes. And how do we keep on showing up as that kind, confident, encouragement consultant for our children and for ourselves? So I'd love for you to do this activity for yourself and maybe get a little journal or a piece of paper and just looking at your life now and give yourself a rating. So I'm going to give you 11 different things to think about, and it's kind of like a well-balanced life. And I want you to rate yourself 1 to 10. So what would you rate your family life like? How's your family life on a scale of 1 to 10? What's your love life like on a scale from 1 to 10? How about your social life? How about your self-image? That's what you're thinking about yourself, what you say to yourself. How's your personal growth? How about your health, your fitness, your business or your career or your studies? How would you rate that? How about your recreation, your fun? This is something that always gets like, oh, what? Recreation? And we need to do that for ourselves. We need to find, how do we put some adventure into our lives? How do we bring the joy and put that in there? Because we need that. And that's something that ends up getting like thrown away when we have kids. What was the one I just did? Where did that go? Finance, wealth. Your finance and wealth. Your contribution to your community, your contribution to society. How would you rate that? And then your spirituality. So looking at this and just kind of give yourself a gut rating of 1 to 10 and see where you lie. And then usually what I'll do with my one-on-one clients is we kind of work with whatever's like the lowest, whatever's the 3 and the 4. And that's where we'll start, and we'll try to build it up. And we usually find some type of limiting belief there that's kind of keeping us stuck. So I'm going to go back to this list. But what I would love for you to do now is thinking about it. And then maybe after this workshop, because I don't want to spend too much time, I would love for you to journal your perfect day. So what if we were to rate life a 10? What if all of those were a 10 and all your hopes and dreams have come true? So if we want to go back to that list, like, what if everything was a 10 on this list? What would that look like? And visualize that and imagine that. What would that look like? That could be your visualization for the week. It's just visualizing your life as a perfect 10. So looking at that, it's just the self-awareness of like, oh, there's some things that I'm just like not attending to. And what we focus on grows. So we need to bring focus, bring some attention to some of these things that we're just neglecting. Maybe it's your love life. Maybe it's your personal growth. Maybe it's you have a business in your head and you want to start something. Maybe it's that. So thinking about what we just did, what could be a goal that you have that could make your life a little better? Maybe it's something in your home environment. Maybe it's something in your relationship. So maybe just give yourself a goal for right now, because I'd love this to be a working workshop where you come out of this with some ideas. So, yep, I'm telling you, you gotta take care of you. This is called self-care. It's not selfish. We need to focus on ourselves. We need to put that oxygen mask on ourselves first before we can start taking care of our kids, before we can take care of our partner. So this is important to take care of you. One of the silver linings of the pandemic is I learned a lot about positive psychology. And as I said before, when everything was so chaotic, I know there was only 2 things that I can control, or my thoughts and my actions. And so I met with this group and we learned all these different positive psychology tools to help us. And it was so informative, so helpful. One thing was focusing on our mindfulness, not our mind being so full. Like constantly as moms, we have this to-do list of all the things that we have to do. But what I would love for you to do is how can we be more mindful throughout our day? Some things that we're just like, just doing because we have to do it. Like, how can we maybe bring some mindfulness into doing the dishes? Feeling the water, smelling the soap, looking at something beautiful while you're having to do this task that you just do every day. But how can we be more mindful in some of these things that we have to do? Bringing in meditation has been such a blessing for me. And that's something where I bring mindfulness is I do a meditation. And right now I'm just doing a insight timer on my app, an app on my phone. And it guides me through a guided meditation, all different ones. I highly recommend it. But there's all different apps. There's Headspace, there's Calm. There's a lot of free meditations on YouTube. You can just do it yourself. But meditation actually rewires your brain. So it really helps. I tell people it gives you that little space, that response flexibility between the experience, the stimulus, and then your response. It just gives you that little space so that you don't react negatively. You can proactively react consciously. Another positive psychology tool is gratitude. Gratitude can shift our emotional awareness. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. It's actually, I learned one of my strengths. The next things are, what are your strengths? Gratitude is one of my strengths. I'm very grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my parents. I'm grateful for all the things I have, but I constantly am saying it to myself. So using gratitude in the suck. How can we use gratitude when things are shitty? So I use this example. I was working with a mom, 3 young children. Things were crazy, chaotic. And we talked about just all the stuff that she has to do. And we used gratitude around laundry. And it was just something that she was really not loving. And I was helping her to kind of shift her mindset a little bit and where we can use gratitude. And a couple weeks later, she was like, Kristen, I had the greatest experience doing laundry. I was like first huffing and puffing. And then I was like, I'm so grateful to have 3 healthy children that have messed up these clothes. I'm so grateful to have these clothes to clothe my children. I'm so grateful to have this washer and dryer that's helping me to do this job. So when we can find gratitude in the suck, it's really powerful. It's really powerful. And just using gratitude throughout the day is really, really a great emotional shift. And then learning about your strengths. So this was really eye-opening for me. And I did a test on VIA, Values in Action. And I think there's a free service. I might have paid a little bit for the write-up afterward, but it goes through like all these different questions and it helps you to figure out like your top 5 strengths. And for me, it was really eye-opening because I was like, oh, okay, these are my strengths. Now I know why I was feeling very depressed during that time of my life. I wasn't using any of my strengths. I was just like bleh, going on with life and like letting things like, I was just reacting to everything that was happening. So when we can live into our strengths, we have better mental health. And the next step would be figuring out what your partner's strengths are and you strength spot. So everybody has different strengths, but you can notice his or her strengths and strength spot. You can figure out what your kids' strengths are. Using those verbal appreciation is huge. I don't do it enough as well. So it's just a good reminder. So what can be the baby step? Like what can you do? Just one little thing to bring more joy and happiness into your life. Maybe using one of these positive psychology strategies. Maybe it's bringing meditation into your morning routine. Maybe it's creating a morning routine. So taking care of you. Oh, speaking of morning routine. So improving our self-image. This is something that I've been learning more and more about. One of my colleagues that I work with really focuses about self-image and I love it. So self-image is what we're thinking about ourselves, what we're saying to ourselves. And sometimes, you know what? That person's not so nice. I don't know about you, but I'm the hardest on myself. And lately, now that I have the self-awareness, I'm able to catch myself. I say the meanest things. So we have to really be aware of that. Be aware of that negative self-talk and what we're saying. And one way to do this is, like I said, like developing a morning routine. This example and these ideas are based on Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning, and he uses the acronym SAVERS. So the S stands for silence. That's like that meditation, sitting in silence. We have so much power within ourselves, but we just don't give ourselves the time to listen. So if we can be silent and kind of listen to your own intuition, that's where that comes out. So the silence, affirmations are huge. They've been saving me lately. I had never used them. And then lately I've been using them and I love it. I love it. It helps me to shift. Like I said, like when I'm having that negative self-talk, I'm like, wait a minute, no, I am organized and prepared. I'm a badass mom extraordinaire. That's one of my affirmations that I made up. But am I always organized and prepared? No, I'm not. So I need to work on it. So I made that one of my affirmations. I am organized and prepared. I'm a badass mom extraordinaire. I can do this. You got to be your own cheerleader sometimes. You got to do this. So affirmations are great. I know I've shared a lot of affirmations with my parent empowerment group. I'll continue to do that, but I really love, lately it's been really helping me. Visualization. This was an example of what we did before, like journaling our perfect day, visualizing what you want to see. I've worked with parents and I do this a lot. And at first I was like, okay, this might be a little woo-woo, but they were having a hard time with their child's misbehavior. And I was like, we've got to visualize your child doing what you are expecting? What are your expectations? And then we visualize that child doing it. And it's like that, it's on the tip of my tongue, but when you have to do the visualizations to see it happen. So they are, our brain too doesn't know the difference between what's happening in reality, what we're really experiencing, and our imagination. I'll tell you that in a minute, but visualization and then exercise is important. I don't always exercise first thing in the morning. That's why I've kind of created with my parent empowerment group. I'm like, we're going to do the mom miracle morning, and exercise might happen later on, but at least in the very first thing in the morning, I do some movement, some breath work, just to get my body like moving. Read, like, what are you reading that's positive? And what are you reading that can like help you to learn something new or whatever. Not the news. Don't read the news. That's not good. And then scribe, so journaling. So there's just one idea for a morning routine that can really help to improve our self-image. Like all these things together can really help. And I like how Hal Elrod says it, like this can take you 6 minutes. You could spend 1 minute on each of those 6 things, or it can take you the power hour. You could do the power hour. You could do 10 minutes for each of these, 10-minute meditation, 10 minutes of affirmation. So it could be longer, but it doesn't have to be this huge morning routine. Just trying to fit this in throughout the day too is what I give you permission to do. So let's talk a little bit about our communication. So we are going to be focusing on empathic communication. A lot of this work is based on Dr. Marshall Rosenberg. He wrote Nonviolent Communication. And then I do a lot of my work is based on Dr. Haim Gnut. And they wrote those books, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. And it's empathic listening. And sometimes when I do my workshops, I'll write that word listen, L-I-S-T-E-N on the board. And I'll say, okay, what other word can we make with these letters? L-I-S-T-E-N. Silent. Like, are we being silent when we're listening? Or are we multitasking and doing something? Or are we thinking of the next thing that we're going to be saying? Like, can we really listen silently and empathically to somebody? And what we do when we listen empathically is we're hearing their needs, we're hearing their requests, we're hearing their experience, and then we're able to understand where they're coming from, because we all have different perceptions. So this is a great positive discipline script using an I feel statement. I teach this to the classrooms when we have our children and they're doing the I feel statements to each other. But I think this tool works great with our spouses too. So I feel blank when blank and I wish. This sometimes too will get you out of that reactive stage and go make you think like, okay, Kristen said to use I feel statement. And it just helps you to be more conscious and deliberate in your communication. I feel frustrated when you leave your dirty socks on the ground, and I wish you would put them in your hamper. Okay, hear you. Another thing that you could do is you could do a you feel statement. So either your child might come home all like frustrated, or maybe your spouse comes home all, you could do a you feel statement. You can really be listening empathically, hearing what they're saying, what they're feeling, what their needs are, what they're requesting. You feel aggravated when your coworker sent that email and you wish they would have talked to you first. Yeah, I hear you. We all want to be heard. We all want to be seen. We want to feel loved. And by doing this, by listening, really shows them that we love, we care. So here's a little positive discipline lesson for you. Are you asking or are you telling? So I'm using the example of a teenager. So I would love for you to just pretend like you are the teenager. Maybe you're yourself as a teenager and I'm your mom, or you're your child. And I want you just to get an idea of like, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you deciding when I say these things? Okay, so I'm going to do one round being a certain parent and then the second round being a different parent. So this is round one. Go take a shower. Don't forget your uniform. Do your homework. Get off the phone. Stop fighting with your brother. Pick up your clothes and put them in the hamper. Hurry up and get dressed or you'll miss your ride. Stop yelling. Okay, that's the end of round one. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you deciding? Maybe deciding about yourself, deciding about me as your parent. Okay, now we're going to go to round two. What do your friends say when you're all sweaty and smelly? Have you checked your game preparation list? What are your plans for getting your homework done? What was our agreement about when phones would be in the parking basket? What can you and your brother do to solve this problem? What will happen to your laundry that isn't in the hamper? How will you get to school if you miss your ride? What could we do to solve this problem respectfully? So that's the end of round two. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you deciding? So a lot of times when I'm doing this in a big group, we'll look at those two lists that we did in the beginning where these are the challenges that we're having, but these are the life skills and characteristics. So we look at that life skills and characteristics list and we say, okay, what are our children learning? What are our teens learning when we're just telling them, do this, do that, do this? Usually they're not listening anyway. But what are we teaching them? What are they learning? What life skills and characteristics when we ask? So it's using a what or a how question to ask. They're learning problem solving. They're learning what they actually do need. They're learning to maybe develop some systems that they might need to create this game preparation list. I'm like, when I did, I'm like, ooh, I need to do that for my daughters. It's a quick little shift. So be aware of that this week. Like, are you asking or are you telling? When you can ask, it'll build more connection and cooperation, I am sure. And one of the things I've learned is that children need encouragement like a plant needs water. We need encouragement too, like a plant needs water. So when we can use these words of encouragement throughout the day, really that faith of like, I know you can do it, I've seen you do it. And it's not just the like, good job. It's the, wow, look how far you've come. So it's this shift of like praise versus encouragement. And just thinking about that communication, and I know we talked about it in the last slide, but being aware of the communication that we're not only using with our spouse and our children, being aware of that communication that we're having with ourselves and how we can be the encouragement consultant for ourselves. When I did the training with Lynn Lott, it was great. Her one of our little textbooks was called Do It Yourself Therapy. So it was all these different tools of like how we can give ourselves these bits of encouragement throughout the day so that we can be stronger, we can be more confident, we can forget about some of this old wiring and this old stuff that is causing us angst and anxiety and worry and stress and grow out of that and become the encouragement consultant for ourselves too. Okay, so everything always comes back to the basics. So these are just the basics of effective strategies that work. So when we are disciplining our children, when we are needing to change their behavior for some reason, Think of these questions. So these are effective discipline strategies. Is it respectful? Is what you did or said respectful? And respect is kind and firm at the same time. And this is where it's tricky, because kindness shows respect for the child, and all human beings deserve dignity and respect. And firmness shows respect for yourself. You are the fully functioning adult. You have the fully functioning prefrontal cortex. And we know the boundaries, and they need boundaries. So we need to be kind and firm at the same time and stick to it. Don't always, you have to follow through with what you say. So if you say it, you're going to have to follow through with it. Does it invite a feeling of belonging and significance? Rudolph Dreikurs, one of the founding fathers of positive discipline, Lynn Lott and Jane Nelson created positive discipline, but it was based on Adlerian psychology, based on Alfred Adler and Rudolph Dreikurs. And he studied all human beings, and he learned that all human beings have this need to feel belonging and significance. Love and power. So it look like unconditional love and power. And when they don't feel like they have love and power, they're going to find a mistaken way to get that. They're going to possibly have some undue attention, or maybe misguided power, possibly revenge. Or what we don't want to see is this assumed inadequacy of like, I just can't do it. I just can't do it right. So I'm not even going to try. So those are the four main topics of misbehavior, but it's all based on our child's perception if they have belonging and significance. So all the positive discipline tools support and invite this feeling of belonging and significance. Is it effective long-term? So like I said before, their brain's not fully developed until the age of 25. So long-term, we're in this for the long haul. We have the challenges of what's happening now. We have increased challenges of what's happening in the world, and we have our long-range goals. So I love having parenting partners together really brainstorm that list of like, what are our gifts? What are the gifts that we want our child to have at the age of 25? What are the life skills and characteristics we hope and dream for our child to have? And then we have to use those skills. We have to be that, because they're going to learn that through role modeling. They're going to learn that through watching us. And I don't always do it right. I make a lot of mistakes, but I also know how to repair some of those mistakes, or I think I do. Anyway, I just do a positive discipline tool to repair it. But we need to just be conscious that our children are really looking to us as the role models. And it's how we react when they are at their worst. That's the time when it's the most important, because it could be the time where, one of these limiting beliefs sneak in. So it's teaching social and life skills for good moral character is what it comes down to. And it's also helping the child to come up with this sense of, I can do it. They feel good when they do things for themselves. So it's helping, creating your home environment to like give them all these experiences where they can make mistakes and where it's just an opportunity for learning, and they can learn how to do something, and it's going to take time and it's going to take practice. But this feeling of autonomy really helps with their self-confidence, their self-esteem. So it's so important to give them all these different experiences to practice. So those are the effective discipline strategies. So now we're going to shift a little bit and talk about the 5 primary drivers. And this is based on cognitive behavioral psychology. And it's based on, it's how our human being operating system works. It's just how it works. And so it all starts with beliefs. Starts with our beliefs. And these beliefs may have been formed in early childhood, from like birth to age 6. It could also be formed from our culture, our society. I know there's a lot of beliefs that women have just based on our society of the way it's always been. So those are our beliefs, and our beliefs dictate our thoughts. on a day-to-day basis. It's all happening. And those thoughts will create feelings. The feelings might be good feelings, the feelings might be bad feelings. And that's huge too. So our beliefs dictate our thoughts, which dictate our feelings. And those feelings we will then do something. We'll act, we might react. We might take no action, if our feelings are, bad and our thoughts are like, I can't do it right, then we might have inaction. And then it creates our results. So thinking of these 5 primary drivers, our beliefs dictate our thoughts, dictate our feelings, which will create our actions, which then give us our results. And then sometimes that'll then just form the belief even that much stronger. So it's kind of this psychocybernetic loop that we're stuck in. But what I was taught is we can sometimes look at those feelings. And if those feelings are not good, it means it's not true. It means there's something happening in our body that's telling us that it's not true. It's an unintelligent thought. So if that's an unintelligent thought, that must mean the belief is not true. It's just something that happened to us maybe as a child, or something that we've been saying to ourselves so long that the synaptic wiring is just so strong. So what we need to do is create a new belief. And that's what's tricky, and that's what's hard. And that's something that we'll be really going in deep in the Women's Empowerment Circle, is we're going to start creating new empowered decisions and declutter some of these limiting beliefs that's keeping us stuck. So for example, the belief can be, I'm not good enough. Like maybe as a child, you did something that just, was wrong according to the parent who was in charge. And you had this belief of, I can't do it right. I'm not good enough. And so that I'm not good enough will create these thoughts of, well, I can't do it. I can't do it right. Well, and then that'll create these feelings of like, not good. That doesn't feel good inside. And then, like I said before, it might create an inaction of, well, if I can't do it good enough, I'm just not even going to try. I'm not even going to do it. And then it'll create the results of nothing, and then you'll just still have that belief of, well, I'm just not good enough. I can't do it. There's so many different limiting beliefs. I did a workshop a couple months ago, and I have a whole list of all these different limiting beliefs that you can kind of check and go like, okay, yeah, that's something that's really keeping me stuck. And then we work on it, and we can flip it around to an empowered decision, because really the belief was just a decision that you made as a child based on somebody else's probably inexperience of being either an inexperienced parent or the environment that you grew up in. And you now have the fully functioning brain that you can make a new empowered decision. And then we can start creating this as like a stronger, the 5 primary drivers. We can start having better thoughts. We can start asking ourselves empowered questions to create different feelings, which will then create better actions and better results. So this is how our psychology works. It's really, it's fascinating when you have that self-awareness of like, oh, and I've gone through this workshop, this exercise several times where you can see it. You see it happening in your life. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it. So you start to make the shifts. It's really, really powerful. So I'm really excited to be opening the Women's Empowerment Circle. And this is something brand new. It's the first time I'm doing it, but it's something I hope I will continue to do for many, many years to come. And this is something where it's incorporating all the positive discipline that I do with parents, but it's also bringing in the mindset work. So we will continually be learning and relearning and having this awareness of the shifts that we can make in our own lives. So we're going to be running this starting next Thursday, May 19th, and it's going to be every Thursday for a month. And the first session is going to be working on our motherhood mindset and what we can shift to really set ourselves up for success. It'll be some of the positive discipline tools, a lot of the communication strategies, but all the things that we can focus on to help ourselves to be this confident, courageous, strong mom, and including figuring out what are our strengths and how do we live into those strengths. The second session, we're going to figure out what those two states of being. I kind of brushed on it a little bit. We're either in a primal state or we're in a powerful state. And with our two states of being, where is it that the thoughts, it's really based on the thoughts and like, what's the thought that's keeping us stuck? And then what we can do about it and how we can shift it. And it's going to take work. It's going to take repetition, but within repetition, you start to see the changes and the shifts. And then in the third session, we're going to focus on that power of decision. We're going to really declutter some of those limiting beliefs and start to come up with some new empowered decisions of how we can work around some of these things, how we can start to shift our thoughts, which we know will then shift our feelings and our actions and our results. So really our thoughts dictate our reality. And you've heard that before. And this is why it's this loop. And then the fourth system, we're going to learn about the success system. And this is working with our brain's assets, because what I've learned is that our brain is a goal achieving machine, and our brain will achieve whatever it is you're asking it. So you might be asking the wrong questions, and you might be focusing on the negative things. And I know we're all doing it. It's human nature. Our brains are built for our survival. They're not built for our happiness. So we need to bring that in with these different tools and strategies. We need to bring that in, or else we'll just be like we have been, surviving. We're just reacting. But if we can use a success system, these are going to be habits for life. Like you will then, like I said before, like once you hear something, you can't unhear it. Once you see something, you can't unsee it. So you'll start to really be able to see what's been keeping you stuck. Maybe what's been, maybe it's the communication that you're using with yourself. Maybe it's the communication you're using with others. But you'll be able to start to ask the right questions, ask more empowered questions, and then you'll get more empowered decisions out of it. And also focusing on those daily habits for success. So this is kind of the Women's Empowerment Circle in a nutshell. Throughout the 4 weeks, you will do 4 live Zoom sessions, and then I'll be kind of leaking some videos to keep you going for accountability, some videos based on positive discipline to kind of keep that going throughout. But the 4 sessions, a lot of it is based on our mindset and how these, big meta distinctions that we can work with to make some really positive shifts in our life. And then your family, your friends, people start to notice. Like when you start to really be able to work through these emotions, you can't just like stuff it all down. You have to work through them and clear it. You have to clear it, so then you'll be able to be have that clarity, have the confidence, and have the courage to be the best parent you could be once you can live into that. So you can find more about this on my website. You see my website's right there. If you go into the store section, it's all based on the Women's Empowerment Circle. So there's the information that I just gave you about those 4 weeks there. Make sure you're in my email list. If you're not getting my emails, just send me a message with your email, and I'll be sending out more information to my email list for this Empowerment Circle. but we're going to be starting. I have it split up. So we have 2 evening sessions and 2 afternoon sessions. So we start May 19th with an evening session, 7:30 to 9. And then May 26th would be a lunch session, 12 to 1. June 2nd would be an evening session, 7:30 to 9. And then the 9th will be a lunch session, 12 to 1. So I'm trying to help all the work at home moms and the working outside moms, and so that everybody can do it. And all the sessions will be recorded, that you'll get the session afterward if you have to miss. But it would be really powerful to try to get to all of those. So thank you all so much for taking the time for yourself. This is so important. It's so important to take the time for ourselves to learn these strategies and tools and just the knowledge. And like I had said before, knowledge is power, but implementation of that knowledge, that's what's life-changing. That's what can really change our lives, is when we start to practice, when we start to walk our talk, when we start to do it. So I am going to stop sharing there. And I wish everybody a great day. Again, use my permission to keep Mother's Day throughout the whole month of May. Make sure to give yourself a lot of self-care. Even if you could just one day do something to take care of yourself throughout the rest of this month would be really, really powerful. So have a great day. Thank you. Bye for now. And I hope this was helpful for you.